Hi everybody, welcome back. I'm Melissa McLean. I'm the sourcing manager here and one of the recruiters at Collagens, and we're doing a continuation video on our previous recruiter fuel, which covered how to prep candidates to turn in their resignation, and this is the continuation of that video going over how we walk them through all the way to the end and hopefully that offer acceptance. And this is my colleague.
Hi everyone, this is Mary Ann Lee. I'm a senior recruiter here at Collagens, and I'm looking forward to the talk.
So Mary Ann, last time myself and Ken were talking about when we take candidates through and how we prep them as recruiters. Once we know that offer is going to come from, who they've been interviewing with. This is now the continuation of, okay, we've prepped them.
Yeah.
Candidates going in, they're going to turn in their resignation to their current employer.
Okay.
Now, what happens when that current employer says, we can't lose you, candidate. We're going to give you more money or a new title.
Heard
and
those
the candidate
stories.
calls you back, Mary Ann, and says, Mary Ann, they gave me a counter.
Well, my first question to that candidate is, wait a minute. So you all of a sudden getting this offer, increase in your pay. Why didn't they think about this beforehand? I always tell a candidate before we even discuss an opportunity, what is your motivation? Why are you even open to speaking to me? You already have a good job. You sound like you're doing very well. What's your motivation? And then I'll bring that right back up after he says, well, I have this counteroffer from my company. I'm going to ask him, well, wait a minute. You told me this, and this, and this is why you didn't want to stay there. So you're saying that money is going to drive you to leave or to stay? And so that's really what I would talk to that candidate about as far as this counteroffer. And it's just a sticky situation because in this market right now, it's an employee's market.
Yeah.
And so they can almost, especially if they have a high-tech skill, it's kind of tough right now to kind of say too much about these counteroffers. But my goal is to always kind of see what that candidate is looking for and to talk about why they were even open to speaking to me in the first place.
Now, what if they say to you, Mary Ann, I know what we talked about. I really want the role that I interviewed for, but is there any way you can get me, $10,000 more or more vacation, or how do you handle that type of, what do you do next? Do you say you'll tell the client, or how do you handle that? What's the next step?
I want to give the opportunity for our client to make a counter offer to what they're putting on the table, just to see how interested or how open they are for this candidate. But ultimately, my goal is to always go back to initially what the candidate was looking for and why they were open, why they were looking to leave, why they were frustrated with their current employer, and why now all of a sudden they want to give him or her more money. It's just not fair. It's a very sticky situation because now your current employer knows that you're looking. And now they're thinking in the back of their mind, gosh, at any moment, he's going to leave me. So let me give him more money to keep him staying here for 6 months, and then I'm going to get rid of him. So you have to be careful. And I'll tell that candidate that. Be careful, because you may take the counter offer.
That's a good point,
And the client, your employer, now knows that you're looking. So it's a sticky situation.
I think
very sticky.
Me and Ken kind of talked about that too, of going back to those reasons why. And I've actually had where I've had to tell a candidate, where I possibly know that the client that they interviewed with might take away their offer if they counter with too much.
That's right.
And I don't know if you've experienced that as well, but that's also something of just being very open and honest with the candidate in terms of your point in market. They might not be the only person that's interviewing. And I tell them, there's a fine line of asking for enough, right? That might be a little more than what was, there's nothing wrong with negotiating. But sometimes it can cross that line of where the client you might upset them, and I've had that happen before.
I've had that happen too.
And I've had to tell candidates. I don't think candidates sometimes realize that that can actually happen. That
I always
they can take back an offer.
I always tell the candidate, give me, what happens if the client says no? Do you have a backup question or a backup some type of other negotiation? Because I can ask for maybe 2 more weeks of vacation, or I can give you a company car, or I can give you some mileage reimbursement. But it's not always about salary. It's about the peace of mind of you going to work and being content. There's room for growth.
Yep.
The company culture. You know, what were the reasons that you wanted to leave or even talk to me in the first place? Because you already had a job. So just kind of going back to the reason why you were even open to open to talking to me in the first place.
Because I think negotiations are always risky, right?
It's very risky.
I always say there's no harm in asking,
That's
but you
right.
also have to understand that could be told. You could be told no.
That's right.
Right, and then you could also, worst case, they could
have a
say,
backup.
we don't want, that was the original offer. Clearly this candidate doesn't want it. We're moving on. And that's happened before. But because I think sometimes people think, well, I'll just keep asking to see what I can get.
But then you look greedy. Then you look greedy. And then the client's going to definitely say no.
For sure.
And then it makes that all that work that we put into grooming this candidate for this potential offer down the drain. So I want to make sure it's going to be successful, that it's going to stick. And my goal is to get that candidate to this new client, even though they got a counter offer. You know, again, you always have to think about that your current employer knows that you're looking.
Yeah.
And in the back of their mind, they're going to keep thinking that. At any moment, you could be leaving.
Yeah.
And 6 months down the road, they're going to say, you know what, I knew you wanted to leave, so I'm going to let you go now.
Yeah.
So you have to be very careful.
I think we as recruiters try to prepare for all the curveballs that we get. But you know as well as I do, there are things that come up that you've never had happen before. I think all we can do is prepare for it.
They have to be prepared.
You know, and prepare.
And that's our job as recruiters, to let them know the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yep.
And that they need to have a backup plan in case that client says no.
Yeah. And I don't think a lot of candidates think about that.
Yeah.
So that's really good, because I think sometimes some recruiters don't even bring that up to think about what is the backup plan.
Yeah, what is your backup plan in case the client says no? Yeah. What are you going to say? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
You know?
Or their current employer, like you said, they now are like, well, they want to leave. They came to me with a counter, and worst case, I've never had this happen, but it probably does, I'm sure, that their current employer might say, okay, you're no longer needed here, and now you don't have a job either way.
Right.
You know,
that's never happened, knock on wood. No. Oh my goodness, no. That's never happened. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, right.
But no, that's never happened.
You never know. We always got to prepare for that.
That's right.
But it all goes back to what you said about just knowing from the beginning in that first call what the motivators are, what their reasons are, bring those up, and that's all we can only control the controllables, right?
That's right.
But,
it's risky.
Yes.
Very risky.
Yeah, every day.
Yes, it is. All right, guys, thank you for taking the time to look at this quick recruiter fuel. But if you do want to hear more, which is more exciting things about recruitment, please check out the Recruitment EDU for more information.